When you're scrolling through kitchen appliances and see a 36-inch dual-fuel range, it can feel like you've stepped into a chef's showroom. I get it, there's a mix of excitement and a little dread because that price tag isn't something you want to waste on a unit that ends up gathering dust or, worse, turning your cooking routine into a hassle. If you're on the fence about whether a THOR freestanding range is the right fit for your home, let's walk through the things that matter once you actually start using it, not just the glossy brochure. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question most people have is whether the dual-fuel concept actually delivers a noticeable upgrade over a high-end gas range or a premium electric one. In practice, the THOR's 18,000 BTU burner is the kind of power you notice when you're searing a steak or stir-frying a batch of veggies for a family dinner. It brings the heat up quickly and stays hot, which cuts down on the time you'd otherwise spend waiting for a pan to reach temperature. On the flip side, the 650 BTU simmer burner is a gentle, low-flame zone that works well for delicate sauces that need to stay just above a boil. The real win is having both extremes on the same cooktop, so you can sear a roast on the high-output side, while simultaneously keeping a reduction simmering on the low side without juggling burners between two separate appliances. Now, think about the everyday workflow in a kitchen that isn't a professional test kitchen, but still sees a fair amount of activity like weekend brunches, holiday roasts, and the occasional baking project. The oven's 5.2 cubic foot capacity is generous enough to fit a large turkey, a sheet pan of cookies, and a casserole dish all at once. That space becomes a real advantage when you're trying to get dinner on the table after a busy day. The convection fan, which THOR markets as providing controlled heat distribution, does exactly what it promises. It circulates hot air, so the turkey browns evenly while the cookies bake without needing to rotate trays halfway through. In my own kitchen test, the fan cut the baking time on a batch of muffins by about 10 minutes compared to a static bake, which is a tangible time saver for anyone juggling multiple dishes. One of those seemingly small details that turns into a daily convenience is the telescopic rack system. The ball-bearing guides let the racks glide out and in with almost no effort, even when they're loaded with heavy pans. I've had experiences where a rack on a cheaper range gets stuck, forcing you to yank it and risk tipping over a hot tray. With this THOR, you can pull a full-size roasting pan out to baste without wrestling with the metal, which feels like a thoughtful design touch that actually matters when the oven is hot. But no appliance is without its trade-offs. The most common hesitation point I hear from folks is the weight and footprint of a professional-grade range. The cast-iron cooking grates are built to hold anything from a tiny skillet to a massive stockpot, which is great for durability, but they also add a solid heft to the unit. If your kitchen layout is tight or you have a lighter-weight countertop, installing this 36-inch monster may require reinforcing the floor or at least double-checking the cabinet clearance. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something you need to plan for before you order. Another practical consideration is the LED control panel that lights up in a striking blue when the unit is in operation. It looks sleek, but the brightness can be a little much if you're cooking late at night and don't want the whole kitchen illuminated. The panel isn't dimmable, so you'll either have to live with the glow or cover it with a simple piece of tape, an odd little compromise that most buyers don't think about until they actually turn the range on. Who should walk away with this range? If you're someone who cooks regularly, think home chefs who love to experiment with both high-heat searing and low and slow braising. This dual-fuel setup will feel like a natural extension of your skill set. The ability to switch between gas and electric heat means you get the instant control of a flame for stovetop work and the even, dry heat of an electric oven for baking and roasting. It's also a solid pick for households that entertain often and need that extra oven capacity without sacrificing stovetop power. Families that do a lot of weekend baking, grill-to-oven meals, or multi-course dinner parties will get genuine value out of the range's size and heat flexibility. On the other hand, if your cooking habits are more on the casual side, say you mostly heat frozen meals, make a quick pasta, or only bake a loaf of bread once a week, the investment may not pay off. A mid-range gas range or a standard electric oven could handle those tasks with less upfront cost and without the need to accommodate a larger footprint. Also,